What's up everybody, this is Ripples in Wales, back for another video. I hope you're all doing well and having a great day wherever you are in the world and whatever you're doing. So, today I've got a blinder for you. I'm going to try and dot connect for you regarding this Molasses, this drop by BG, the regulation Molasses, and some of the stuff that's unfolding in the space. And we're going to link that back to the IMF. The IMF and the SFB are the ones that are kind of pushing this narrative with the G20 that's coming out now, and that links back all the way to the BG scenes with this regulation Molasses jar. We're going to try and bring it all together. It might be a little bit convoluted, it's tricky to kind of pull these things together, but we'll try and get there together. So, Bitcoin market's kicking up this morning. Seen that yesterday, this move here. I'll be keeping a close eye on this little step that's going on here. I expect another move up, maybe to the higher regions, but it did look like it was a double top here kind of thing, so I don't know, it's really tricky. I'll leave that to the TA analysts on Twitter, analysts rather, and we'll see what they think about things, but wouldn't surprise me another move up on this Bitcoin cycle. But remember, we're still in the relief rally, and the relief rally normally goes to probably 3/4 of the way up the old price all-time high, so we are expecting another move to the north, I guess to the shoulder line of the previous high in Bitcoin, which probably will bring us around here, 38, 39. We shall see. YouTube channel, thank you very much for all the likes and comments in the video yesterday. I've replied to them all this morning regarding the 11th and November video that we dropped yesterday. There's some interesting stuff to cover today. Also, I wanted to mention a little thing about November that I forgot to mention to you all yesterday. The market cap at the minute, Bitcoin, we're still in pounds, aren't we? I should probably put it in dollars for you guys, because I have to work in a different currency in this country. Dollars doesn't really work for me. But there we go. Bitcoin's at 26,553, Ethereum's 1627, and the bullshit 3 stable coins that shouldn't be in the top 6 are still here, and XRP is at 49 cents. This is deliberate manipulation. There's no reason why stablecoins should still be in a listing like this. They should be in a separate listing. They know this. This is deliberate manipulation on the behalf of Binance, who own CoinMarketCap. Just so you all know, this is how the space is kind of still littered with corruption and very clever marketing. You know, if you're putting a coin like XRP at 6, and you know, okay, people might class me as an XRP maxi. I'm really not. I'm token agnostic actually, which means I don't mind which chain wins as long as I have some of each of them. But for the reasons, I mean, people say BNB is not a stable coin. Okay, it's classed as a layer 1, but it's also as a stable coin. It's one of the biggest in the world. So that argument doesn't wash for me. Anyway, they shouldn't be there. Anyway, moving on. Let's not get drag down rabbit holes. This is my Twitter. Come and say hi at Ripples in Wales if you haven't been to my channel before. On Twitter, I'm pretty busy on there. So let's jump right in. Okay, we all talked about. We know about the Christmas scene first of all. Let's bring it in on this. On the Christmas scene, we are familiar. I hope, at least. I hope you all widen this out a little bit for you. You're familiar with the Christmas scene and the jar of molasses that sits on the very top of the library case in the Bearable Guy Christmas scene. Beneath it is a gavel against the case. When that gavel knocks, the likelihood is the jar is likely to fall, and the gavel signifies regulations. And you know, there's some sort of legal connotations regarding a gavel. Beneath that, you've got the Bitcoin stocking, the green stocking, which, if you aren't familiar with the colours, they come from here: BTC green, XRP purple, and yellow USD. There is no, like, you can't question these. These are set. I've seen people for the past 3 years try and rename the colours. For fuck's sakes, they're there. They're in your face. This is like level 0.1 of dot connecting. All the information was presented to you at the beginning. So green and purple is BTC and XRP. So yeah, and we've also got September at the bottom of the calendar here, which starts the level playing field, which we've all mentioned before. Anyhow, the molasses is what I want you to focus on. It's on the edge of the jar. So 2 or 3 days ago, as we covered previously in the Bearable Guy timeline, this is Bearable Guy 123's timeline. If you haven't seen his channel, if you're not familiar, I cover a lot of his work. He's an insider who left a lot of clues to do with the development of XRP, XRPL and Ripple and their plans. This particular channel is about Ripple. His BG123 is about Ripple and its kind of push for the global adoption of the XRPL using the native token XRP. His reverse facing channel is about XRP, but this is about Ripple. Anyway, and and the greater crypto space. Let's put that as well. Okay, so a few days ago, as we know, in August, we had some news drop about global crypto regulations, and it was referring to this one image which he left on August 18th, 2019. Now, 4 years to the day, give or take 12 hours, a news article dropped by CoinDesk. I think the original article is here. This is what dropped, I believe it was. This was August the 15th. Actually, it came before, I'm sorry. So it was actually dropped before. He was within 2 days of it. 3 days, whatever. G20 set to crystallize global crypto regulations as India wraps up presidency. Now, the thing is, India and G20, remember those. Crystallize. Interesting word to use. Crystallize. What's molasses? It's crystallized sugarcane. That's interesting. Okay, wow. We're gonna look at this anyway. So it says on the jar regulation molasses, and it shows it tipping off the edge. Okay, so the tipping point. Tipping, falling off, and you've got a bear underneath here. The bear is the symbol of Russia, if you are not aware, and you've got the G20 presidencies, which includes Russia. They went at Russia. Mr. Putin didn't show this time because obviously the various problems that are going on in the eastern territories with the war, sadly, that's going on. But anyway, let's just look at this jar. It's tipping off, and it's August the 18th. That article was released 3 days before to 4 years after, 4 years and 3 days after. Okay, so it shows that there's a high level of accuracy with these posts if you know how to look at them. So this is the original jar. If you're unsure, it's got price on the lid and regulation molasses. Now I want to explain something to you that people didn't realize. Molasses. Where does molasses come from? It's a sugarcane derivative and it's from India. Okay, we've got the articles here. The crystallization process, the crystallization process required to produce molasses from sugarcane was first developed in India as 500 BC. So what did we just see on the article? G20 set to crystallize. I mean, of all the choices of words, crystallize and India. Okay, now his jar showed you, where have I dropped that thing? Bloody gone now, right? Okay, let's bring that up. It shows regulation molasses. Now molasses is born of India and it's got regulations, okay, and we know that molasses is from India, and the G20 meeting was where it was in India. G20 India. He couldn't have spelled that more eloquently out for us, I beg your pardon. What a flipping genius move. I didn't get that until the day. Often I don't always get the dots till very close near the time. But it's got 12, okay? Fluid ounce. Okay, 12 is December. Okay. And yeah, we didn't really know this until the time, but now it makes a lot more sense. And the lid is on the jar with price. Okay, so we know that BG123 is showing that it's tipping, it's getting close, and we're not just talking about XRP here. Let's zoom out for a minute. It's really important that we zoom out. This is global crypto regulations. Okay, and we'll go and look at the article shortly, but this is the important thing to look at. This is the global regs, and also bear in mind that this is to do with the setting down of by the G20, I might add. Let's just segregate that away from the rest of the world. The G20, there is the partition of the world into two that we're seeing now. We've got BRICS nations and we've got the G20. Although all the BRICS nations are in the G20, they seem to have different narratives on the face of it, so it seems. Anyway, so we've got the tipping point, we've got the Christmas scene that we can link back to the BG's work here and show that the jar is tipping and the regulations have been dropped. Now, there was another little riddle that was left back in the day that we can now fall back on to do with the fire. Now, the fire is a little bit further on towards October, November if we're looking at the calendar. We've looked at the calendar yesterday. If you have a look at my video, I brought it up there. I'm not probably going to go and dig it out right now. But The other little riddle was this one here. Let's bring up this bad boy. So this was the original riddle, came up, and it showed a picture of a phoenix with a burning king's scepter in the fire, rising from the fire's ashes, and there's the phoenix. You can see the shape, and it has Morse code with the bear, with his finger over his mouth saying shh. Okay, and what that translated to, a big shout out to Foyak, if I pronounced that correctly. He put this great little this is a reminder. So anyway, nothing happens until something moves. Now that's a quote by Albert Einstein. Nothing happens until something moves. Right. Now what could possibly move? It's the jar. Nothing happens until something moves. Now that's saying to you, I think this is the way I'm looking at it, the thing that's obviously thinking it's moving. There's only two things that are moving in any of these riddlers scenes. One is the jar of molasses, and the second is the balloon that we saw in the Ripple Riddle video, Declaration of Independence. Now this is the jar that's wanting to fall, okay? And we can see that it's wanting to move. Now nothing happens until something moves. Let's go back to that, okay, and bring this up, okay? Nothing happens until something moves. Now, those are the regs. Now, that's an interesting thing, first of all, to look at. So he's referring to the phoenix and the fire there, and we can bring up the main scene to show that that there's going to be some sort of regulation coming down the line. Now, I've said the level playing field is supposed to be very green. It's supposed to be very positive for crypto, but in the midst of it, you've got this, onslaught of tokens by the SEC and the arm of the crusher. And so I've got a funny feeling there's going to be a bit of down for a lot of the alts. The charts for a lot of the alts are not looking good. I've seen a lot of the, the analysts looking at charts that are showing all tokens minus the top 40. And, comparing the altcoin market on those charts. And I'm like, wow, okay, but the top 40 tokens are the most important because they hold the largest amounts of liquidity. Okay, and these are all top 40 tokens plus the stable coins. So I'm slightly I don't know how the word is. I'm slightly put out to think like you'd look at charts at the altcoins minus the top 40. I get it. I guess that it takes out a lot of the volatility, and a lot of the younger alts are potentially going to make big moves. But anyway, I've got a funny feeling there may be strong regs for these guys here. There's a lot of tokens that haven't been really pulled into line. Anyway, so the fire here is burning bright between October and November. We can see that. And that's something to keep in line. Anyway, we've got to move on. So, the IMF I've got in my... oh no, actually, we're going to move to something different now. So, let me just look through my notes here. Articles, yeah, G20 Summit in India. Right, so we had a news video here. Where are you? Okay, oh no, it's there. Is it there? Have I put it out? I did bring it up. There we go. Have a listen to this quickly. So I've put here, you were told G20 regs incoming. Have a listen to what the lady said. Oh, it's going to be bloody adverts, isn't it? No, mate, we don't want your trading program, whatever it is. Thanks for wasting your money on ads. Come on, let's go. Let's go. Love the way they hide the skip ad button.
Laying the building blocks for a globally coordinated and comprehensive policy and regulatory framework for crypto assets. The global push for clearer policies on crypto assets has gained momentum under the Indian presidency, and a global consensus is emerging on the same. The presidency will support the IMF and the FSB, and FSB is also setting the contours of the regulatory framework for a globally coordinated approach to crypto assets. So the presidency, with the support of IMF and the FSB, is setting these contours. The IMF and FSB synthesis paper, about which I've spoken to the media earlier, including a roadmap. On that, I just want to give my observation. This synthesis paper delves into how the policy and regulatory frameworks developed by the IMF and the FSB, alongside the other standard-setting bodies, will fit together and interact with each other. This paper is now available in the public domain.
We'll look at that in a minute. Right, so they're such puppets, aren't they? It's pathetic. If you've got any level of conscience now, you can see these leaders who are just utter puppets for the G20, for the elite. And if you can't see through their bullshit, for me anyway, it's rather pathetic. They're just reading scripts on behalf of their handlers. But it's happening, and it's important to notice it. Okay, I don't believe in the IMF. I'm not into the IMF. I'm not into the bullshit G20. But we have to pay attention to it because they're going to set down rules in this space, and that will affect our investments. So it would be unwise to stick our heads in the sand and not look at this. Anyhow, moving onwards, we have the IMF. Let's have a look at this now. What I want to look at next. Right, so there's been a slew. First of all, the IMF comes out with this article the next day. Right, IMF Managing Director Christine Georgieva's statement, the conclusion of G20 Summit. Now, the bit that we need to look at is here. More work lies ahead, including the realm of digital money and crypto assets. To this end, the G20 has tasked relevant institutions to improve regulation and supervision of crypto assets. The IMF is contributing proposals for a comprehensive policy framework and advance the debate on how central bank digital currencies could impact the global economy and financial system. Boom. Right. And then the article, which was dropped here. Now, this is a big article. We're not going to cover it in full today by any means. I'm going to let some of the other researchers in the XRP space skip through this. I did some good searches through it, and I've been through it. It is extensive, far-reaching, and it's kind of scathing on the space. That's what I feel they've now come to accept in this article. We're not going to bore you with the details of it, but they've come to accept that the crypto asset space is too big for them to deal with, as in to squash. So they're going to have to find a way to deal with it. Now, interesting that they always focus on Bitcoin and stable coins, which is just stable market cap shares. They're obviously looking at Tether USD coin here, and they talk about how can we put this? They talk intrinsically about stable coins and their threat to systemic risk of importance by capital flight. They talk about other things. It's mainly risk that they're concerned with in this, but it's so big. I'm not going to try and deep dive into it. It's quite amazing actually. Not that I've read it all. I've skipped through. I've done some keyword searches on it, on the word bridge assets, bridge, cross borders. There was no return to the word bridge asset. There was return to cross border payments. They do talk about it. They're basically scared. That's the vibe I got from this whole article, and I'll put it in the link of description. I'll put both papers there. They are scared, and they are going to try and organise it in a very particular way. I can see that a mile off. It came out the 7th of September, and it's IMF FSB, Financial Stability Board. Okay, but this is it. This is the global crypto regulations framework by the G20, and the G20, I think it's probably 50% of the world's population that's on that now. Okay, and there was, those are big hitting articles, and we're going to look at some other things quickly. We're going to have a look at the various articles that came out in the news. We don't need that actually today. So this was the one we looked at earlier on. This is before it came out. G20 set to crystallize. Interesting choice of words, crystallize, guys. Wow. Right, and so these are the press releases almost straight after. G20 wants swift passage for global crypto rules. A report on the September 10th by Cointelegraph framework will allow exchange of information between countries. We call for the swift implementation of crypto asset reporting framework, CARF, and amendments to CRS common reporting standards, with leaders to write the consensus declaration on their 2-day meeting in India wrapped up. Right, what that means is they want KYC on every exchange. And remember what we saw the other day when if you were aware of what I posted, when I tried to take some money from Uphold off onto a specific cold wallet, it wanted the wallet address, which I declined to give it, which was very interesting because now the exchanges were trying to link themselves through a proxy protocol to your wallets, your cold wallets. Now, your cold wallets are in turn, at the minute, semi-anonymous. Nothing is anonymous on the blockchain. It's public and open and permissionless. I'm aware of that. However, allowing the exchanges to know where your cold storage is not a favourable tactic. So, maybe buy a second cold storage device and use that and connect it to it. Anyway, the point is they want to know who has what where. And they will know who has what where unless you stop them knowing who has what where. Okay? And this is what they're trying to do. They're going to employ tax on all of that. Once they know who has what, they can tax it. And if they can tax it, they can control it. This is their old way. If they can't control it, they will tax it. And this is what they're going for. It's really interesting, we asked the Global Forum of Transparency Exchange Information Tax Purpose to identify appropriate and coordinate a timeline to commence exchanges. You've got 8 to 12 months. That was the timeline that was in this article. This article. They said 8 to 12 months. I'll show you it if I can find it. They got all sorts of. It's all a load of crap basically, but they're going to push for it. Banks exposure. You've got 23 to 24 work program ongoing. Where was the 8 to 12 months that I spotted? So each of these is a timeline. Just give you detailed shared work plan. So the work plan gives you an idea of how quickly they're moving on things. It's all in here. Where did we see it? You've got policy implications. So, and it also says which policy people are working on what. So the policy implications of DeFi, the FSB are working on. DeFi recommendations, ISOC. Exploratory work on the DeFi and insurance sector, IAS. So they've already categorized all this. Okay, multifunction of crypto asset intermediaries, FSB is working on it. So they have got masses of people working on this to be completed by end of 2024. So implications of multifunction crypto asset intermediaries, end of 4. So listen, they're gonna get this done. They're gonna get this done quick, smart. You've probably got 8 to 12 months, I'd say, and we're in September of 2023 now. I'd say most of this will be wrapped up between 2024. There we work to begin in late Q3 2023, and that's cross-border regulatory coordination. Interesting, emerging markets and developing economies. So you can see risks associated with currency and linked asset stablecoins. Publication is potentially requiring further clarification regarding to multi-currency stablecoins used as a settlement asset envisaged for H2 2023. The work on the asset linked stablecoins is in the early stage. So that's stablecoins. So you can see each sector that they're looking at and what they want to, who's going to be looking at it, and what the timeline is. Potential essays for cross-border payments as part of a building block in the block of 18 in the cross-border. Now the 18, I think it's the European Union program, the CPMI, I'm not certain. The report is envisaged publication September 23. So they're already looking at cross-border. It's going to be the first one to go. Financial sector exposure to crypto assets. Anyway, we could go on. I'll link this in, have a look at your own time. So we've seen there's a slew of articles that have come out. We've seen that Reuters has got an article. G20 chair sets talk underway for global framework crypto rules. Forbes has come out with a massive article on it. Joe Biden, China, and the G20 leaders back swift game-changing crypto price rules for $1 trillion Bitcoin, Ethereum, BNB, and XRP market. Nice them to mention XRP. Anyhow, you can see, of course, we endorse the Financial Stability Board's high-level recommendations for the regulatory supervision and oversight of crypto asset activities, markets, and global stablecoin arrangements. Okay, that's a key one to watch. Global stablecoin arrangements. Stablecoins pose the biggest threat. Why did they shut down Libra and their token DM? Because they posed the biggest risk. Big tech did, so they shut down the stablecoin markets. They're going to straighten out the stablecoin markets dramatically. And there's a really good summary of the article. G20 moves forward. This is by Cointelegraph. Usually I call it Cointellerlie because it's not very honest in the way it does its journalism. It's part of I would say, this is me putting a reach out that I wouldn't say it's the most trustworthy news source. But anyway, they do some good articles. Leaders of the 20 biggest economies in the world, collectively known as G20, are pushing for speedy implementation of cross-border frameworks, according to the local reports in New Delhi, where the group of members attending a 2-day summit. Anyway, we call for swift implementation of all crypto asset reporting frameworks. We've seen this anyway. So, we know it's coming. It's coming down the line. It's coming fast. Right. That concludes our kind of look at these articles. But we know it's to do with tax, stablecoins, and exchanges, right? We also know that the G20 is kind of the old part of the G20, let's put it like that, which would have been kind of IMF and World Bank. were kind of challenging the BRICS nations, the developing BRICS nations, and they were making life challenging through the use of the petrodollar, through the use of loans and whatnot. But we've seen there's a bit of a change in structure going on there now, with the new development bank that the BRICS nations have got for their own funding under their own currency in the future. And they've also got their own SIP system with their cross-border payments, which means they don't need to use the petrodollar anymore. So the BRICS nations now are kind of working in unison and in their own silo. So I wanted to draw a division between them and the G20 at the minute, because the G20 and the old IMF, who were controlled probably by the, we'll put it, the old guard, we'll use that word from this channel from now on, the structure wasn't beneficial for both parties. So there is still a kind of line in the sand between them. But I want to bring this up now. Back in the old castle scene, we saw the introduction of this chap here, who was the mannequin hanging on strings, and he was fast asleep. With his eyes closed, we can bring up a bigger picture of him here, and I want to bring this to your attention. This told us a lot of information. The string man was fast asleep here, and he had all strings on him. You can see the different codes all over him. Those codes translated to these, okay, which were the IMF. Interesting how the right arm is the IMF. Just saw that then. UN with SWIFT at the hips. Interesting. The core. The SEC at the left arm. Interesting. There you go. There we go. We've just decoded something new there. Look, the SEC is the left arm. And who is the left arm? Here. Brilliant. That's a new one even for me. Right. So we'll do that in another video again. Fantastic. Arm. And he's put that right underneath arm. Look. That's the first time I've spotted that. SEC arm. It is the arm of the SEC that's on the wheel. Fantastic. Fed Russia, World Trade Organization. Anyway, in the next scene, in the Christmas scene, let's bring these back down. I think the Christmas scene might be beneath us. Is it beneath here? Where are we? Christmas scene. Oh, balls, where is it? It's there. Okay, in the Christmas scene, we can see the little mannequin here. Now, the difference is he's now wide awake with a knife in his hand and the strings are cut. And the reason I want to bring that to your attention is because all those organisations were cut loose during the lockdowns. They were removed out. The old guard has changed. Those strings have been cut. And the likes of the IMF, okay, and the G20, which were the legs, interesting choice of... and that was BRICS, probably not CRICS. Interesting. So the G20 and BRICS were the same right leg. Interesting. And the SWIFT is all on the left side. IMF, I'll have to look at this deeper. My point is the IMF were cut loose. Okay, so they're not the same old bad organisation and institution as we may once thought. Okay, and then we've talked about this before. They've now been kind of... And I want to bring you to attention to one video to do with Jim Willie. Where are you, you bugger? Okay, and I think it's one of my old videos. Right, listen to this for the minute. This is what was released, I think, two videos ago. You can have a look. This connects and shows you that the IMF were one of the ones that hadn't been kind of, how can we put it, so far. They've been cut loose, and they're not maybe the bad guys that we were expecting. Clip of Jim Willie, and this is the first clip that I found with him tying Christine Lagarde and the IMF to the ECB, which is a very well-known thing that Bearable Guy talks about. Which doesn't talk about XRP in this first bit, but he certainly talks about Lagarde.
For you, of all the different cabal major global bank accounts, the only one left that's not sacked is the IMF. All the others are gone.
That's
Vatican, the World Bank. How about Credit Suisse?
Now, so interesting point there. The IMF is the only one that's still operating. Now, what do we know about the IMF? Well, Bearable Guy talked about it a lot, didn't he? He talked about it for the Owl and Miss Lagarde. How, if we look back at Lodestar 2, should we bring that up super quickly? If we have time, it's actually Lodestar 3, I believe. We can go to Lodestar 3 if it loads. Am I going to be able to look at this? Read more. Here we go. Recently, as we saw play out in front of our eyes, Lagarde, who is the head of the IMF, after ending her night at the prom with a bang, went on and graduated to a position that would give her even more access to drill into the cerebros of the ECB, who hold the keys to a large part of the world's financial engine, large part of the financial world. The fact that one crypto asset that cannot be named will be the catalyst that will drive the grand reformation. So Lagarde is mentioned, IMF is mentioned, and the ECB is mentioned. So it's funny that the IMF are the ones pushing this new narrative that we saw drop from the both these two documents and by the G20 Summit in New Delhi. I hope that joins some amazing dots for you. That was kind of a super fast deep dive into all these connections between regulation, Molasses, the G20, India, and then the drops of all these latest documents that the IMF have released and the FSB are going to be pushing, and the global crypto regulation as a whole. It's coming, it's happening fast, and I think we've probably got all 12 months, maybe 24 months before this comes into space, but they'll move fast. They've prepared for this. This isn't done this overnight. This will be coming really, really quick. Anyway, I've got to end this video here because we're 30 minutes in and it's a long old deep dive for you all. But I hope that kind of makes things really crystallized for you. Anyway, please like the video, drop me a comment, tell me your thoughts. What are you? Can you see the connections? Have I laid this out in a decent way for you? It's quite fast moving, I know that, but it should join some dots between all these points, and to show you that where we kind of are on BG123's chronology. Okay, we can see we've passed this, so the next one we've got is December. One thing I'm going to bring up super quick before we finish is this one post here, which I failed to mention yesterday, which was the November posting on the reverse BG123. This is what I'm looking at now next, is this November the 7th first prize. This is what's coming next. This is 2019 again, and something is going to occur in November the 7th. We talked about November a lot, didn't we? First prize, green background. Anyway, we'll leave it there. Have a wonderful day wherever you're doing, wherever you are. Drop a comment, drop a like, please, and subscribe to the channel. It really helps. See you all in the next video, and be blessed.